I'm going to heaven on the inside. Well, don't just sit there. Sit, help you, barbarians. Hey, what is happening, everybody? Pragmatic Addict here. So I just got out of watching Inside. No, not this movie. Not this one. And no, not the game. No, we're talking about the new Willem Dafoe project from Focus Features. Now, I was really intrigued to see this movie. I'm always excited to see what Willem Dafoe picks next, such as films like Antichrist. He is also a regular in Wes Anderson films as well as Robert Eggers films. Focus Features is also a production that I'm always curious to see what they're going to do next. They always seem to have a sort of signature to them, such as studios like Fox Searchlight or Neon Pictures, for example. So basically, Inside has Willem Dafoe playing an art collector named Nemo, and he basically breaks into this other art collector's house, this art collector that has millions of dollars worth of art, and once inside, he soon realizes that he is stuck there. The water is not working, there is no way out, the windows are like bulletproof and everything, and the inside of the house is heating up very quickly, soon showing him that there is no way out and that this dude might even die here. Now, what I will say is that this film is appropriately dark, it is very artistic, and also the kind of project that you'd expect Willem Dafoe to kind of pick up next. For example, the opening line is actually a narrative piece from Willem Dafoe's character stating that when he was a young child, his teacher once asked him, "What are 3 things that you would grab out of if your house is on fire?" And he said, "My sketchbook, my AC/DC album, and my cat." And he goes on to state, "Yeah, I didn't say my family. I didn't choose my mom, my sister, nothing like that."
When I was a kid, my teacher asked me what I would save from my house if it were on fire. I answered, my sketchbook, my AC/DC album, and my cat Groucho. I didn't mention my parents or my sister. Does that make me a bad person?
And then what I really like is that he goes on to state, now my cat ended up dying. My AC/DC album, I ended up loaning it to a friend. Never got it back. Art, though? That's for keeps. That's here to stay. And it was kind of right there where I got the vibe that this film would deliver. It would kind of set with someone who is a massive art fan, maybe even audiences alike that are also big artsy nerds. Also, this movie does set up very quickly. It does, like, to the point where it only, even as a background for this character Nemo, or even just this owner of the house, it is kind of a psychological mystery, which I love the opening because it is very subtle. It just gives you enough to know that, okay, this guy that Willem Dafoe plays, Nemo, he loves art. This guy's house that he's robbing, yeah, there's some fucking expensive and important art in this house. Also, the opening of this movie, the setup, it has that kind of direction where it's showing you around the house and everything. It's showing the layout of maybe, foreshadowing things that you can kind of expect, maybe hinting at stuff for even future viewings of the movie. And I always like when films kind of set up with that because it makes you think, well, maybe they're foreshadowing something. Maybe there's something throughout this layout or something, further along down the movie that's really going to stand out. Or maybe something that I'm not going to notice right away, maybe until a second viewing. I always like when films do that because it feels like they have their shit together. It feels like they know what they need to set up. And it kind of gets you on board with, okay, what can I kind of pick out from this setup in just these matter of few seconds. And I will say this though, this intro, it does set up very quickly to the point where it actually is too quick, where I'm like, I wish I kind of got a better understanding of this guy's character. I mean, yes, you've given me enough. It's this art obsessed guy that's in this wealthy art collector's or artist's house who has very expensive and very valuable art. But I do give the film a lot of props for just how fast it got straight to the point. And not only like when you look at it, but even when you're going into this movie, again, there's not a whole lot of context you need. There's a very eerie and cryptic, very kind of minimal and shallow description, this narrative piece of him saying, yeah, I like art this much that if my home is on fire, I'd probably save my sketchbook over my family. And that's what I want to really talk about, is not only this film, how haunting it is, but it really is hypnotizing even to a sense at some points, because one thing I will say is that this is a first-time director, and with a film like this, and with the director's skills and how much he was able to craft this film into this kind of psychological mystery, I wouldn't say horror film, but this kind of haunting psychological piece. Because this film, the directing, it's done very well. There are times where Willem Dafoe will be dragging like an object and the camera will be attached to it, that sort of thing. There will be shots that you almost are sure that they were probably done multiple times because something just may have been a little bit out of place. It's one of those films, like, it's very kind of Kubrick-like, where every shot you're like trying to dig some stuff out of each shot. You're trying to find some little secrets, some little like nooks and crannies to this film, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this movie is that I went in kind of expecting this like survival kind of movie where this guy gets trapped in this house and he has like maybe, I don't know, a certain set of skills maybe to kind of work with and kind of like MacGyvering some stuff, trying to make some little tools and craft some stuff to try and get out of this stuff. Because again, this house is heating up, there's no air, the windows are unbreakable, there is no water, no one can hear this guy, the phones are disconnected, he's literally trapped in this house that was literally set up and rigged where if anybody breaks in while this owner is away, again, they're fucked. And what I liked is that this isn't one of those films that as it goes on, it gets more absurd and more berserk. Willem Dafoe's character is just inevitably going crazy as time goes on. It's not like that. It's one of those things where this is such a mysterious house, and it is such a big home, and Willem Dafoe is one of those guys that, you know, he is determined. So there are times where you'll think that he's breaking or cracking, you'll think that he's given up, and then there's times where he'll lose hope, and then there's times where he'll regain hope after maybe just taking a break, or maybe he'll kind of study a certain piece of the house and some idea will come to this guy. And again, as a viewer, what makes this film so special is that this is an artist that we were watching, so the stuff that he's coming up with is stuff that really only an artist would kind of see. And as an artist, it's not something that that the movie is like explaining along the way. You're just kind of seeing, okay, what is he up to? What is he gonna do? And that's what I really liked about this film, is that even though this film starts off so fast, it is a pretty lengthy enough movie, and the house is not only big, but again, it is one of those kind of like cat and mouse setup houses, where with its pacing and with the guy's situation, you're seeing little secrets, you're seeing things that are foreshadowed and things that are kind of revealed along the way. And it is one of those movies definitely where you're thinking, is he gonna escape? Is he gonna die here? Who is the owner of this house? Why is this house the way it is? What's the story behind it? What is maybe the secret to the house? It is one of those movies that definitely does keep you guessing. Also, going back to the film, how I said that it is very good with kind of creating that haunting atmosphere for an artistic kind of thriller. This is also a very quiet film. The film does definitely direct well and play into the kind of claustrophobic setting, the isolation setting. And what I really liked about this film, which I did see this with my mom, which is something that she kind of brought to my attention, is that she was like, you know, we really don't know how long he's actually been in this house. There are no clocks, there's no signs of telling time. It is just this guy staying in this home. And it's not like you really see, like, there are times where you see the sun rising and, you know, you see the weather changing, but we never have any set time of how long time has passed. And I will say, again, I did have some nitpicks earlier on. I was like, you know, it's kind of starting too fast. Another thing is that it is one of those films that sometimes, especially in the beginning, like the first act or so, it does kind of like fast forward where you maybe only been watching the film for like, a certain amount of minutes and you're already thinking, okay, it seems like it's already been several hours. This dude seems like he's already on his like last fucking rope. But what I can say opposite of that is that this film does pay off. There is also a sequence towards the middle of the film where it might actually be one of my favorite scenes in a movie in the entire year. It is sort of like a montage of sorts, and I'm not gonna spoil what that is. It's just one of those things where it's like, when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It is very haunting, it is very hypnotizing, it's dark, it's eerie, it's mysterious, and from that point on, it really set the film, I think, into its best motion. And overall, guys, I do think that Inside is one of my favorite films of the year so far. But yes, guys, this is one of those films that, from the trailer, again, I was very excited. I was like, well, it's a directorial debut. It's a Willem Dafoe picture. It's from Focus. It is kind of this isolated, fighting for survival, trying to get out thriller. And regardless of how fast the movie starts and how yet slow it can be, at least in its first act or so, this does play very well into like an artistic based thriller, as well as the psychological aspect of these kind of consequences and the situations that Nemo is going through in this film. There is a lot of guessing as well. It is kind of a cat and mouse thriller, even like going as far as to stretch things like, well, is the ending gonna be rewarding? Is it gonna feel climatic enough where everything that he's tried before, everything that we've already seen, is it going to be able to top that and really kind of deliver? And again, this is just a film that has a lot of layers to it, has a lot of questions, it has a lot of twists and turns, and I think that in the end, it just really paid off. But yes, guys, that is going to do it for my review of Inside. This film did come out yesterday night in my city. I'm hearing that it is coming out I believe the 24th in some other places. So once you do see this movie, guys, definitely let me know what you guys thought about it, as well as the review down below. But yes, guys, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.